الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله لا يغفر أن يشرك به ويغفر ما دون ذلك لمن يشاء سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. So alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're just blessed with a beautiful month of Ramadan. You're just over with that almost a week ago. And subhanallah, it was purely Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us that month. And only a person who is totally unfortunate is deprived of the blessings of that month. Only the person who is totally unfortunate. That's why Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when Angel Jibreel alayhi salam came to him and made a dua that was a bad dua, that may that person be destroyed who found out this month in his lifetime and he was not able to gain the freedom of hell from the hellfire. And Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said Ameen to that. So subhanallah, only the people who are purely unfortunate, totally unfortunate, are deprived of the blessings of the month of Ramadan, right? So what did we learn from that month? First of all, this is the thing that we have to think about. The first thing that we should know is that the reason we were obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who was the Lord of the month of Ramadan, is not only the Lord of the month of Ramadan. He is the Lord of the month of Shawwal, He is the Lord of the month of Dhul-Qa'dah, Dhul-Hijjah, Muharram, Safar, Rabiul Awwal, Rabiul Thani, Rajab, Sha'ban, all the way up to Ramadan. He is the month of the time. He is the Lord of the time. He is the Lord of all the months. So the way we worshipped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the month of Ramadan, the way we obeyed Him subhanahu wa ta'ala, we should obey Him out of the month of Ramadan as well. This is the first point that we should keep in mind when we come out of this month, right? And the second thing that we learn from this month is what? The second thing that we learned is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us that we stay away from a few things, right? We stay away from food, we stay away from drink, we stay away from relationships during the daytime, from dawn to the sunset, right? So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked us that you stay away from food and drink during this time, we said sure, we obey you, sami'na wa ata'na, we obey you, and we did that. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said at sunset, now you can eat, kulu washrabu hatta yatabayyana lakum al-khayt al-abyad min al-khayt al-aswad min al-fajr, right? He said now you eat and drink and can have relationships. We said sure, thank you very much. And then when it came to the last 10 days, and وَلَا تُبَاشِرُوهُنَّ وَأَنْتُمْ عَاكِفُونَ فِي الْمَسَاجِدِ, now you are doing i'tikaf in the masjid for the last 10 days. Now you don't even have to go to your spouses. Sure. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever He was saying, we were just obeying that, right? It was a reward to fast in the month of Ramadan. When it came to 1st of Shawwal, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that who fasts on the day of 1st of Shawwal, he is sinning. And we said sure. So subhanallah, we think about that. So this is total obedience of the Lord of the world, right? This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching us in that month. What is that? Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykumus siyam kama kutiba alal ladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqoon. The idea is to get the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The idea is to get God consciousness in this month. This is the idea. This is the training period for us so that our battery gets recharged for the next 11 months. This was the idea behind the month of Ramadan. So this was a training period. It's not that the month is over and we are out and we are totally free. No. There was a purpose behind that month. And now that we are out of this month, we should reflect upon what we did. And one of the reasons that we obeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that month was why? It was because of the love that we have for our Creator. Because of the love that we have for the Lord of the heavens and the earth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَشَدُّ حُبًّا لِلَّهِ, that the people who believe in Allah have extreme love for Allah. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the people who believe in Him. Right? And subhanallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that I have not given any human being two hearts. Heart is the place where we have love for another person or another being, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I have not given even a single person two hearts. I have given everybody a single heart. So what does that mean? The heart, the place of emotions where the love resides, it can only have one love, and that's it. And Allah, and one of the scholars say, one of the mashayikh, he said that he heard his neighbor's wife saying to her husband, she was fighting with him, and she said, you know what, I've been sparing you for years. You were not behaving well, I spared you, right? You were coming late from work, I spared you. You were not behaving at home, I spared you. You were not doing this and that, and I spared you. I didn't mind that. I tried to be with you all the time. But now, what you are doing is that you are having some relationships with somebody other than me. This is something that I cannot spare. This is something that I cannot take it. Right? And that scholar said that when I listened to the conversation between the husband and the wife, he said, I suddenly remembered the ayah. He said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَغْفِرُ أَن يُشْرَكَ بِهِ, that verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not forgive the person who associates a partner with Him. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَغْفِرُ أَن يُشْرَكَ بِهِ وَيَغْفِرُ مَا دُونَ ذَلِكَ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ. Subhanallah, exactly same thing. He said that I can forgive anything. I can forgive anything that you do on the face of the earth. But I cannot forgive that if you associate a partner with me. I cannot forgive if you have love of some other being in your heart other than my love. Subhanallah. And then ulama, there's a question arises in our minds. Then, Allah, we have love for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We have love of our wives. We have love for our husbands. We have love for our children. We have love for our teachers. We have love for our mashayikh. Where do all these loves go? So the answer is that all these love are basically offshoot of love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One Sayyidina Hussain radiallahu anhu, may Allah be pleased with him, he asked his father Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu, he said that, do you love Allah? He said yes. He said, do you love the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? He said yes. He said, do you love my mother? He said yes. He said, do you love me? He said yes. He said, what is it, your heart or something else? Is that you have so many loves in one heart? And he then explained to him the same thing. He said, all the other love that I have are the offshoots of the love of Allah. We love the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded us to do that. We love our wives and our husbands because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered us to do that. We love our children because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered us to do that. So these are all offshoots of love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not like or cannot take is that if we have love of something or some being that He has not ordered, or He has forbidden us to do that. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cannot take. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَغْفِرُ أَن يُشْرَكَ بِهِ وَيَغْفِرُ مَا دُونَ ذَلِكَ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ. Subhanallah. So if we really think about it today, this is one of the diseases of our time. This is one of the diseases of our time, especially with the young people. They go to your universities and they go to colleges and sit in front of the internet, and they are on the chat rooms, and they have the cell phones, which my teacher called hell phones, by the way, because the use of the cell phone is causing people to go to hell. They're going to these Facebooks and MySpace and I don't know what. There are tons of things out there that are like web of shaitan. They're inviting people to the hellfire. أُولَٰئِكَ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى النَّارِ. That's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, that these are the people who are inviting you to the fire. وَاللَّهُ يَدْعُو إِلَى الْجَنَّةِ وَالْمَغْفِرَةِ بِإِذْنِهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is inviting you towards His paradise and His forgiveness. So what are we choosing between? Are we choosing between the love of Allah and His forgiveness, or we choose to go towards the hellfire? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cannot take that. Keep that in mind. One of the very famous stories of few of the mashayikh, they say that there was one mu'azzin, the caller to the prayer. He went out to the top of the tower of the minaret to call out the adhan. And when he went on the top, he peeped into his neighbor's house, and he saw the daughter of the person who was living in that house, and he said, okay, let me go and inquire about him, if they are the new people. And he came to that house, and the father came out and he said, I want to marry your daughter. And he said, we are Christians, we are not Muslims, so if you want to marry my daughter, you have to change your religion. And the shaitan came to whisper into his mind that, okay, let's change your religion for the time being, and then you can come back to Islam later on. And then they married, and after the marriage he was just climbing the stairs, and suddenly his feet slipped and he fell down and he died. Subhanallah. So then our mashayikh thought about it. Why is such a dangerous sin? Why is such a dangerous thing that we have some love for anything else other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and their offshoots? Why is it so difficult? Why is it so dangerous? Why is it such why the end could such be dangerous when you have this kind of thing? And then ulama came up with the same thing. There's a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says that ana aghjaru waldi Adam, that I am the most ghuyur of all the children of Adam alayhi salam. And he said, wallahu aghjaru minna, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is even more ghuyur, He is aghjar than me. He cannot take that. This is something that He simply cannot take, and we don't think about it anymore. Subhanallah. According to one of the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, al-haya shu'batun min al-iman, that modesty is a part of faith. Modesty is a part of faith. Subhanallah. And we do not realize that anymore today. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered the mu'mineen and the mu'minat in the Quran to lower their gaze. قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ. Tell the believing men that they should lower their gaze. And in the same ayah, وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنْ, and tell the believing women that they should lower their gaze. Why is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordering the men and the women to lower their gaze? So that means that this is something that is so important near Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he worked so hard on the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum ajma'in, that in the time of Sayyidina Umar Farooq radiyallahu anhu, in the time of his caliphate, there was a woman who traveled alone from Yaman to Medina Munawwara, alone by herself. And when she came in the presence of Umar radiyallahu anhu, he asked her, didn't you get afraid of all these people and you were just by yourself? And she said that every tribe that I passed by, I felt like they are my fathers and my brothers. They took care of me. And this was the ta'aleem, this was the tarbiyah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that everybody was in that mode of haya, in that mode of modesty. And today we should all ask ourselves, where are we? What do we do when we go outside? What do we do when we go to the malls? What do we do when we sit in front of television? What do we do when we watch the movies? What do we do when we pass by a billboard? What do we do when we go on the internet? We should ask ourselves. This is the tarbiyah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Al-haya shu'batun min al-iman. Modesty is the part of faith. Subhanallah. And the thing is that this is a spiritual struggle, for sure. I mean, this is not easy to lower our gaze when we go out on the street. This is a struggle, but we have to go through that struggle, because this is an order of Allah that we should lower our gaze when we go out, right? The way we should look at it is that according to the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ad-dunya sijnul mu'min, right? This world is like a prison to a believer, because I mean, there are so many things that we cannot do, and then that would only be allowed when we go to the paradise, inshaAllah. So this is like a prison to us. And just imagine that there is a prisoner in the prison, and there are orders that he will be murdered or he will be hanged the other day. Do you think that he will have all these thoughts in his mind that he can go out and sin and all these things? No. I mean, you cannot even think about that. Exactly is the state of a believer in this world. He is like a prisoner in this world. He can die any time. He is going back to his Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala any time. And if we have that in our mind all the time, then what happens is that we go into that state. We go into that state that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching over us all the time. هُوَ مَعَكُمْ أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ. That He is with you wherever you are. أَلَا يَظُنُّ أُولَٰئِكَ أَنَّهُمْ مَبْعُوثُونَ. Don't they think that they will be raised up in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment? If we have all these things in our mind, then it will be easy for us to control our gaze. And subhanallah, the nature of our eyes is such that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made very short this shutter in front of our eyes. It's very short. That's a proverb, like in a blink of an eye, right? That's what we say. In a blink of an eye we did that. So that means that it has even become a proverb that it takes such a small time in order to close our eyes. This is a shutter that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, so that if anything comes in front of our eyes that we are not supposed to look at, we close our eyes right there and then. Subhanallah. We have no excuse in front of Allah that, oh Allah, it took so long to close our eyes before we could look at that person or whatever. We have no excuse. Why? Because it's so easy to do that, but it takes spiritual struggle to do that. It's not easy in the beginning, believe me. But the thing is, once you get into that, then according to the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that whoever removes his vision from looking at something that he's not supposed to look at, he gets the sweetness of the faith in his heart. If he turns away his eyes from something that he is not supposed to look at, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives him the sweetness of faith in his heart. He will feel that in his heart. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honors that person so much who have this modesty for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And one of the incidents in India, what happened was a long time ago, that it didn't rain for a long time. And all the people gathered together and asked for that, okay, we should ask Allah for rain. And they went out and did the Salatul Istisqa, the prayer for the rain. And all of them did that, but rain didn't come. And then there was a person who was passing by, and he came down and he asked, what happened? And they explained to him that it didn't rain for such a long time. And he said, okay, let me go and ask for it. And he went out, and there was his mother who was sitting on some kind of vehicle, and he held his mother's clothes, and he made dua. And as soon as he made dua, the rain came. And people got astonished and said, what did you do? And we were making istisqa and everybody gathered together and rain didn't come. What did you do? And he said that my mother, she's such a pious woman. She didn't sin all of her life. She had been modest all through her life. And I went and I asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh Allah, I give you the I ask you, because of my mother who didn't sin all of her life, who has been so modest, I ask you that if you like this of her act, please send us rain. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down the rain. Subhanallah. So this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honors the modesty. And there are so many incidents in the Quran. For example, I'll just give you a couple of them. We know about Sayyidah Maryam alayhi salam, right? What happened to Sayyidah Maryam alayhi salam? She was one of the most pious women in the history of human beings, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned her in the Quran. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, that وَذْكُرْ فِي الْكِتَابِ مَرْيَمْ إِذِ انْتَبَذَتْ مِنْ أَهْلِهَا مَكَانًا شَرْقِيًّا, that and mention in the book the story of Maryam alayhi salam, when she went out to the east, فَاتَّخَذَتْ مِن دُونِهِمْ حِجَابًا فَأَرْسَلْنَا إِلَيْهَا رُوحَنَا فَتَمَثَّلَ لَهَا بَشَرًا سَوِيًّا, that she veiled herself, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down His angel who came to her in form of a man. قالت إني أعوذ بالرحمن منك إن كنت تقيا. And she was a pious woman, right? She saw a man and she was all by herself, and she was a pious woman, she was modest, and she said, I seek refuge that if you are God fearing, that you seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And قال إنما أنا رسول ربك لأهب لك غلاما زكيا. He said that I am verily a messenger from your Lord, and I have come so that I can give you glad tidings of a pious child. قالت أن يكون لي غلام ولم يمسسني بشر ولم أكن بغيا. She said, how can I have a child when I have not even touched a single human being? And I'm a pious woman. How can I have a child? قال كذلك قال ربك هو علي هين وَلِنَجْعَلَهُ آيَةً لِلنَّاسِ وَرَحْمَةً مِنَّا وَكَانَ أَمْرًا مَقْضِيًّا. And then it goes on, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave her the child, like she had that, and she was still afraid. Although Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving her tidings, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking her not to worry about, but still she said that قالت يا ليتني مت قبل هذا وكنت نسيا منسيا. I wish that I would have been dead before this. I wish that I would have been dead before this, and I would have been a person who was forgotten. That's what her state. She couldn't take it. She said that I have been a pious woman, I have been worshipping my Lord all my life, and now I'm going to go back to my tribe with a child. I mean, how can I face them? What are they going to tell me? Right? And the story goes on, and then when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked her to do one thing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that فَإِمَّا تَرَيِنَّ مِنَ الْبَشَرِ أَحَدًا فَقُولِي إِنِّي نَذَرْتُ لِلرَّحْمَنِ صَوْمًا فَلَنْ أُكَلِّمَ الْيَوْمَ إِنْسِيًّا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave her another challenge. He said that you fast today. And what kind of fast is that? This is a fast of speech. When you go back to your tribe, you don't even utter a single word from your mouth. Now imagine, think about it. She's a pious lady, she's modest, she's going back to her tribe, and the only weapon that she has today, what is that? Her tongue. I mean, the only thing that she could explain to her people was through her tongue. She could have given some reasons, some sort of reasons, right? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving her a challenge. He's saying that don't speak even when you go in front of your people. Subhanallah. But she is a pious lady, she is a modest lady, she is God-fearing lady, she is obeying what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking her to do. She went back, and what? فَأَتَتْ بِهِ قَوْمَهَا تَحْمِلُ. When she went back to her people, قَالُوا يَا مَرْيَمْ لَقَدْ جِئْتِ شَيْئًا فَرِيئًا. Why, you have come up with a strange thing. يَا أُخْتَ هَارُونَ مَا كَانَ أَبُوكِ امْرَأً مَا كَانَ أَبُوكِ امْرَأَ سَوْءٍ وَمَا كَانَتْ أُمُّكِ بَغِيًّا. They started blaming her family. What have you come up with? Your father was a very pious person, your mother was a pious person, and what did you do? You have come up with a child? فَأَشَارَتْ إِلَيْهِ. Now she didn't have any choice. She couldn't speak. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us not to speak that day. And what all she could do in frustration was فَأَشَارَتْ إِلَيْهِ. She said, ask this baby. Ask this baby. I cannot speak today. I'm speechless. I cannot say anything today. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when somebody is modest, somebody is pious, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down miracles. And what happened? قَالَ إِنِّي عَبْدُ اللَّهِ. The baby spoke, says, verily I am the servant of Allah. I am the slave of God. آتَانِيَ الْكِتَابَ وَجَعَلَنِي نَبِيًّا. He has given me a book and He has made me a prophet. Subhanallah. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saves the people who show modesty. She was a woman of modesty. She was a pious woman. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us that she was a pious woman, and when it came down a test to her, when a test came down to her, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved her. And He saved her the way that she was honored until this day. She has been given honor until this day and until the day of judgment, until this book will be recited, inshallah. Subhanallah. Give you another story, and inshallah I'll end with that. The mother of the believers, Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha. We all know the story, but I'll just repeat, inshallah, as a reminder. What happened? Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was coming back from an expedition, right? And it was a big troop. There were many camels, right? And it was a long journey, and they were coming back slowly. Whenever it used to come, when it was night, they used to just rest for a while, and the next morning they used to start again. So when it was morning, Prophet ﷺ asked everybody to leave, and people were leaving as they were getting ready to leave, right? And Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha, and she thought that it's a long journey, so I should go out and relieve myself in the outskirts, right? And she went out, and she went away and came back. And it was like a cart that they used to put on top of the camel, and it was like all covered from all sides. But when she came back, she suddenly realized that the necklace that she used to wear, it wasn't there anymore. And she thought, okay, it's still time for the caravan to leave. She thought I should go and let me find out that necklace. And she went out, and when she came back, the people, the Sahaba Karam radiallahu anhu, they thought that she has already came back. And they put that cart on the top of the camel and they went away. And there was nobody there. The caravan had gone. And she was very light-weighted woman. She was very light, she was young. So they didn't even realize that there's nobody in that cart. I don't know what you call it, but let's imagine it's kind of a box, right? And it was all covered with curtains from all sides. So now she's all alone by herself. And she thought, she didn't worry about that. She thought that Prophet ﷺ will send somebody, and he will realize that she's not with them, and he will send somebody, and she will go with him. And she was just sitting there, and suddenly she slept. And when she slept, and it was the habit of the Prophet ﷺ that he used to send somebody after the caravan was gone to see that if there is anything left behind. And he sent a Sahabi, his name was Safwan radiallahu anhu. And when he came to that place, he saw a woman lying down sleeping there. And when he realized that she was the wife of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un." And she suddenly got up. She was sleeping, and she covered herself with the clothes that she had. And he basically made the camel to sit down, and she sat on the camel, and he took the camel and just walked in front of the camel and joined the caravan. But now when the munafiqeen, the hypocrites, they saw that Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha, she is coming with a sahabi. Now they had all the reasons to spread out some bad news, right? And this news spread like wildfire. We all know the story. I'm just repeating for the sake of just refreshing our minds. But it's just such a beautiful story. And Prophet ﷺ heard of that story. And he didn't tell Aisha radiallahu anha at that time. And a month passed. This is Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha narrating the story herself. He said a month passed by and I got sick and I got weak. And one night she went out with one of the Sahabiya radiallahu anha to go out in the outskirts to relieve herself. And suddenly that woman, that Sahabiya, she told her, due to some reasons, that this is what's happening, this is what people are talking about you. And she went into a shock. She said, why? Like, how come the people are saying that? And she came back and went to the Prophet ﷺ. And he was very shocked. He was very sad because of the incident that happened. Because everybody was talking about that, right? And when she came, Prophet ﷺ, she said salam to the Prophet. He said, wa alaikum assalam, and he turned his face. And now she got into even further shock. And she said, I want to go back to my parents, Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. And he said, okay, you can go. And she went back to her father and mother. And when she went back, and she saw that it's a strange situation there as well. Her mother is crying, her father is crying, he's reading Quran, and tears coming out of his eyes. They're all crying and they're asking Allah. And she asked them, what has happened to you? And they were quiet. So when they didn't talk to her, she went in a corner, she made wudu and started praying. And she went into the sajda and asked him, and started asking Allah that what has happened. At the same time, Prophet ﷺ was having a council in the Masjid al-Nabi ﷺ, and asking his friends, Sayyidina Umar and Ali and Uthman radiallahu anhu ajma'in, that what we should do. And they were giving all the excuses. Of course, they were true believers. They said, how it can happen that somebody can talk bad about your wife? Right? Anyway, cutting the long story short. So Prophet ﷺ came to the house of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. And when he came, he went to Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha and asked her that if you have done anything wrong, ask forgiveness from Allah. And when she heard that still Prophet ﷺ is thinking that she could have done anything bad, that was the limit. She didn't talk to anybody. She went on the prayer mat. She went into the sajda and started crying again. She cried and cried and cried and cried. And she asked all the du'as that, oh Allah, oh the one who saved Yusuf alayhi salam from getting dishonored. Oh Allah, I mean this is only you can save me today. And Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu was worried, and her mother was worried. And suddenly Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam started sweating. And then his color changed. And he put his cloak on the top of his head. And everybody knew that it's the time of revelation. Everybody knew that some angel Jibreel alayhi salam is coming with some news. And for Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu, his color changed. He didn't know what's going to happen. The color of her mother changed. She didn't know what's going to happen. Right? But Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha, she was calm. She knew that she is innocent, right? And she knew that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Lord of the heavens and the earth, He is sending down some good news. And after some time, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam took off the cloak. And he was happy. And he said, O Aisha radiallahu anha, O Aisha, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent down good news. And what was the ayah that was revealed? Al-khabithatu lil-khabithin wal-khabithuna lil-khabithat وَالطَّيِّبَاتُ لِلطَّيِّبِينَ وَالطَّيِّبُونَ لِلطَّيِّبَاتِ أُولَٰئِكَ مُبَرَّؤُونَ مِمَّا يَقُولُونَ لَهُمْ مَغْفِرَةٌ وَرِزْقٌ كَرِيمٌ. Subhanallah. He said that immoral women are for immoral men, and immoral men are for immoral women, and the pure men are for pure women, and pure women are for pure men. And you are free from what these people have been saying. And what have you